Hello, my name is John Mendez, and this is my preparing for assessments in the state of Arizona. Universal testing in the state of Arizona is one that is followed by the AZELA or AZELLA testing format. The testing conditions are to ensure the testing is conducted in small groups. Students are to be seated in specific locations, and that the students have the bare necessities needed for testing, such as pencils, wearing their glasses if they're needing hearing aids, or so forth. Some of the special accommodations for students that are required is certain items, as I was mentioning, glasses, hearing aids, and some special lighting with color overlays for those that have issues visually seeing. However, some of the things that are some of the requirements and standards, conditions needed are to ensure the students are comfortable within the testing area, and they try to make the testing area small enough to where there are no distractions for the students. And is with the distractions, it's a free environment of distractions, and this is all listed within the Arizona Department of Education. In the allowed portion, or I should say, the only things that are allowed for the students are the bare necessities of what they're going to come in for testing, pencils, for writing, and so forth. Now, with ELL students or English language learners, their testing abilities are going to be minimized, okay, due to them having English as a second language. They're not allowed translators or such materials such as dictionaries, word lists, or glossaries. These are all part of they're all listed within the Arizona Department of Education, and was also a part of the Board of Education here in Arizona. Now, with the needs of the students, a lot of it consists of, which we're going to end up going over here in the next portion, for students with disabilities and so forth. Permitted accommodations. Students with disabilities will have areas that are suited for them, and for other students that will be placed in areas free of distractions and seen in specific areas, so there are no attempts of communication. Students that are listed within IEPs or 504 accommodations acceptable are listed, and within that list, there are areas, say for instance, like breaks. There can be breaks to accommodate those specific students to minimize their ability to become agitated or so forth. But it's better. It's there to help these students and to help them succeed. The IEPs, students are listed by IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities in the Education Act. Now, this is a nationwide type standard, and students that with learning disabilities or physical disabilities that are required special accommodations for them. As for students that are in the 504, those that are listed within IDEA or ADA, which is Americans with Disabilities Act. Now, these are students that are requesting additional, not additional, I shouldn't say additional assistance, but needed assistance in the event that they have problems with the reading, or they acquire different aspects, such as administrators help, with specific areas, or they may acquire a little bit of time, additional time, for the testing, because these type of students, their accommodations need to be met, and it is important for these students because they are a part of the educational system as well. Now, within the Arizona Department of Education, some of the testing areas that are very widely used within the assessment process, AZELA, I have mentioned earlier, and is a testing format for students, basically for English learners. It's a test followed by the state and federal requirements through the state of Arizona. It is this test is based for those with English as a second language, and this test is also taken once a year to assess the proficiency of the students and their learning abilities. Now, the MSAA is a multi-state alternative assessment type of test, and it covers ELA, which is English Language Arts, mathematics, and science. These tests are used to assess the students and their higher academic goals for post-secondary schools, and testing designed for those students with cognitive disabilities and measure their ability to perform at levels for higher education. The MSSA standardized testing is given to students from the grades of 3 to 8 and 11th grades. Arizona is not the only state that uses MSAA. Other states, such as the District of Columbia, Montana, South Dakota, Maine, happen to be just a few of the states that use this testing format. Now, as for the ESSA, this here was placed under the Obama administration in 2015, and it is an act that was put into place to provide equal opportunity for all students within the nation, within the nation's educational system. And in doing so, it is to provide students with the highest level of education within the elementary and secondary educational schools. It is also helping those students with the opportunity to get into college. And it provides that equal opportunity for all students across the board. Now, the overall assessment view within the state of Arizona is a state mandated that follows a 13-step process. It is a process that begins from the lowest level of education to the highest level of education. And these levels are for those students with the disabilities and disorders. The assessment plans for the state of Arizona is to focus on the main subjects of ELA, mathematics, and science throughout the state. Some of the testing forms based on students are their intellectual, social, emotional developmental needs, and preparing for confidence. The intellectual needs, one of them would be like a flip around. Now, for students to become assessed, to have a fair assessment, teachers go try to find ways to help their students in creating these assessments while going through some standardized testing. And in doing so, they create games by having students make questions about what they have learned, about those scenarios, to provide much needed information that can also attribute to their intellectual needs. In doing this, the students have the understanding from the curriculum that they have learned and helps them prepare for these type of assessments. Within social needs, preparation is also a very big scenario here. Um, on test days, students are nervous, tense, and know that they're testing for something that will prepare them for the next level of their academic career. There are methods that students can do to relieve some of those tensions before going into classrooms and preparing for testing. Um, Stretching, meditating, and finding a relaxed state to overcome those nerves of taking the test jitters away are all forms of methods to help students to relieve their bodies of tension and provide them a clear mind and techniques to help them to overcome the testing jitters. Now, emotional development needs, easing the mind, um, testing situation, testing in this or assessing in any situation can create a stressful moment in any child's testing. It is important to prepare a student and understand the importance of getting the rest that they need after such vigorous studying. Providing them with the tools to prepare can lessen the fear of testing by helping students in supporting, coaching, and setting goals to helping them with their study habits. Even in a secondary school standardized testing or assessment testing, students need guidance in preparing for these tests, assessments, and easing the mind before testing will help them prepare and support them through the areas that they may find difficult. And some of these areas are watching videos or learning tools such as Edpuzzles, Crash Course, which is I have here, are just a few of the learning um, development that are there to create a little bit of a fun environment for the student in teaching or in learning. Using resources can also play a role in helping students to have an ease of mind when preparing for testing. Edpuzzles, Peer Decks happen to be just a few of the elements to help students prepare. Preparing for confidence, and one of these is building confidence for students. Preparing students for testing is one thing. However, providing a student with the confidence and letting them know that they will do good in the test will help them to overcome the fear of testing or having the mindset that they are ready. Providing students with encouragement can provide that student with the confidence in themselves to want to do good, Teachers showing that they care about their students goes a long way, especially when they have been studying so hard and prepared for what they're about to engage in. Some of the challenges that a lot of students are going or have happened recently within the 2021 year happened to be the pandemic of COVID. And it was a rough year for assessments in the classroom and for students and for teachers during this learning process. The pandemic pretty much almost put a stop on the education and has caused a rift in the educational needs of the students and within the state as well as the nation. One of the elements that was utilized was remote learning. Now, with the remote learning, it was something that was not planned for, and it made it a little bit difficult for teachers to engage with their students and to ensure that they stayed on track with their learning abilities. But the remote environment was kind of a hindrance for some students because it created a distraction for them to where many students did not participate in their educational goals, as well as in which causing them to fall down within their grades. Teaching from a personal perspective, it was a difficult time for students to really engage until they finally had to go ahead to come back into the classroom to start learning. But planning is a big thing, especially for students and teachers. Those two working together, it has to coexist, and it has to find that medium to where things can work together. Now here are my list of my references that I've used for this presentation. And I hope you enjoyed my presentation. My name is John Mendez, and I hope that this presentation helps.